Mr. Cormier.
I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. I'm going to lose everything. If my wife finds out something like that, oh my God, bro, I'm going to lose everything. Bro, I have a spot. I have to find a spot where I'm going to dump her. I'll throw away all the clothes, or I'll burn them, or I'll wash them with Clorox. Those are the words from the defendant in this case on August 21st, 2018. The evidence will show you that Jose Soto Escalera, the defendant in this case, he had a problem. He had a big problem, and he needed to find a way to get rid of it. He had no other choice in his eyes. And that problem that he had was the victim in this case, Tanya Wise. On August 21st, Tanya Wise was a mom. She was 38 weeks pregnant, and she had no idea that this defendant was carefully planning out her murder. You're going to learn that the defendant in this case, he worked for Waste Pro. He was a garbage truck driver, and he worked with his nephew on the garbage truck. And the reason we're going to know and hear how he planned out this murder is because he did it on the garbage truck while they're driving around, picking up trash, doing his route. But what the defendant didn't plan on is that it's all recorded. There's video, there's audio, and even though they talked in Spanish, everything is going to be translated in this case, and you're going to hear the defendant as he drives around on his trash route trying to figure out where he's going to get rid of her body, where he's going to leave 38-week pregnant Tanya Wise for dead, how he's going to kill her. Let's go 2 days later. That was August 21st, 2018. Let's go to August 23rd. That's the date of the murder in this case. And it's a normal day for Jose. He's driving in his garbage truck, and he's planning out a murder. He cannot let his wife know that he got another woman pregnant who's now 38 weeks. He's running out of time. She's getting ready to schedule a C-section. She's going to have this baby, and he cannot let that find out because he's going to lose everything. That's all he cares about. What's going to happen to him? Not that he's going to kill a 38-week-year-old pregnant mother. That doesn't concern him at all. And he's talking casually in this car to his nephew. You think I should choke her? Or would it be better if I just do a big blow and it's all over with really quick? And then he tells him, you know what? She's not the type of person that anyone's even going to look for. They're not even going to look for her. They're not going to worry about her. And you know what? If they don't find anything within the first 48 hours, they're never going to find anything. Well, despite the defendant's planning and discussion over and over again of where he's going to do it, which way he should do it, how he's going to commit this murder, he made some mistakes. And on August 23rd, you're going to hear from the victim in this case, Tanya Wise. You're going to hear from her mother, Elizabeth Bedolla. She is helping Tanya put her son to bed that night, and then Tanya leaves the house. The last time she sees her daughter alive is sometime after 8 o'clock on August 23rd, 2018. She doesn't know exactly where her daughter's going. She thinks she's just going out for a little bit. Tanya didn't have a car. She didn't have a way to go anywhere, and you'll learn through the recordings that the defendant, part of his plan was to lure her out, to get her out of the house, and then to take her somewhere to murder her. So that's August 23rd. That's the night of the murder. And you're going to learn the defendant, he goes, he picks her up, and then he takes her out to complete his plan. So fast forward to the next morning. It's August 24th, 2018. Tanya Wise has been murdered. Christine Gabin is driving in St. Lucie County. The site of this murder is it's on a road called Russo Road. It's just north of Indrio. It's a little bit west of town. There's an intersection between Russo Road and Johnston Road. And it just so happens that this route is along the defendant's trash route. It's a spot that he passes, that he drives on his garbage truck route. But Christine Gabin, she's driving down that road that day, and on the side of Russo Road, she sees what she thinks is trash, in a ditch in the swale on the side of the road. But when she looks closer, she realizes it's not trash. It's Tanya Wise. So immediately she sees a body on the side of the road and she calls 911. St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office is going to respond out to the scene. One of the first officers, Deputy Gilkey, he gets there and he takes some photos of Tanya as she is found the way that she is initially. You're going to hear that crime scene investigators, there's 3 different crime scene investigators that worked on this case: Donna Carmichael, Kayla Lim, and Janine Vasquez at the time, now Janine Hiller. They go out to the scene because now there's a dead body and they need to figure out what happened. So they go and they look at the body. Tanya Wise is face down in the swale on the side of the road. There's still some water. She's wet, she's damp. They see some hair, loose hair around the area where her body's found, and she's completely face down. They turn her over. They can see that she has some injuries to both her head and to her neck, and that there is what appears to be vomit within the swale of where her face was laying down. They collect all the evidence at the scene. They document all the evidence at the scene. They take photographs, and Tanya Wise is brought to the medical examiner's office to have an autopsy performed. So now we're on August 24th. She's been found. She's brought to the medical examiner's office, and the defendant is there riding in his garbage truck again as if nothing happened. And he's talking to his nephew again about what happened. And he's telling him, he says, yeah, even though I had gloves on, I washed my hands with that brake cleaner. His nephew asked him, was there any blood? And he said, yeah, there's blood. It was all over the clothes, but I got rid of it. They're not going to find any evidence. And once again, he's talking in this truck. He doesn't know that she's been found at this point yet, but he's saying, no one's even going to look for her. She's the kind of person that runs away for a few days. I'm fine. He thinks he's in the clear. No one's going to find her. So that's August 24th. And what's going to happen is now law enforcement's going to start to work the case. They are going to figure out who knew her, how did they know her, when's the last time people saw Tanya Wise, because they need to start gathering evidence. They need to figure out who she was with, who she saw, what could have happened to her. And they start to bring in people for interviews the next day on the 25th. And what also happens the next day on the 25th is her autopsy. And what you're going to learn what happened to Tanya Wise is that she suffered 2 major injuries that could have caused her death. She was struck, and you're going to hear from Linda O'Neill, the medical examiner at the time. She was struck on the top of her head, and she suffered skull fractures. She suffered hematoma, edema, and that the cracks in her skull came all the way up to her orbital bones. Linda O'Neill will tell you that that was a significant blow that she took, and that it couldn't have been done with a fist, that it had to be done with some type of extremely hard object. The other injury that you're going to hear that Tanya Wise sustained was a 19-centimeter cut across her neck. It comes from the front to the back, consistent with someone possibly standing behind her, and there's multiple cuts. There's 2 separate cuts, and the cuts were so deep it went through her jugular vein and almost to her spinal cord. And you're going to see photographs of that. And the reason those cuts are so deep and she's hitting the head so hard is because this defendant had to make sure she was gone. He planned it out, and he was worried that he was going to get found out. He thought he was going to lose everything. And his solution was to kill Tanya Wise and Josiah Wise, which was going to be the 38-week-old baby that she had that was getting ready to be born within the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear that the sheriff's office continued to work on this case. They gathered evidence, and they eventually talked to the defendant in this case. He goes into the sheriff's office on August 25th, 2018 for an interview. And when he comes in, he drives in a silverish gray Dodge truck. Now, what you're going to learn about this truck is that same day of the finding of the body or the same day of the murder on August 23rd, there's another individual by the name of William Mullen. William Mullen owned a pizza shop at the time, and he was driving on Russo Road in that area at about 11:30 at night. And he sees something that's odd to him. As he's driving down the road, he sees a silverish truck, meets the description of the defendant's truck. It has some fog lights on, and it's just sitting on the side of the road. He says he sees the truck, he pulls up, it turns its lights off, it turns its lights on, and then it drives off. And he thought that was kind of weird. So the next day, when he sees law enforcement there, he goes and calls 911 and says, hey, I saw this truck out right there where that body was found last night. And just so happens that the day that this defendant comes in to give an interview, he's driving a truck that matches that description, consistent with the truck that's seen right at the murder scene. Another piece of evidence that the sheriff's office says, you know what, it's starting to look like it's Jose Soto Escalera. So he gives consent to search his car. Law enforcement, they swab his car that particular day, and then they talk to him. And when they talk to the defendant, you're going to hear his interview, you're going to listen to his words, and you can watch him. He comes in as if, despite what he just did, despite after cutting her throat twice and bashing in her head, he's surprised. He's sad. I can't believe this happened. I feel bad for her family. Hope you find who did this. I don't know anything about it. He minimizes his relationship with Tanya Wise. He's like, yeah, I know her. We're not friends. She comes over. Her son plays with my son. They start to ask more questions. She was pregnant. Is there any reason that we're going to find out this is your child? Are we going to learn that this baby is yours? Nope. Not my child. That's not possible. I've never had sex with Tanya Wise. That's not me. So obviously, law enforcement, there's a medical examiner. They're going to do a paternity test of this baby that Tanya had. And they're going to look into that. But what they're also going to look at is they're going to start to look at phone records. They're going to look at calls. They're going to do search warrants. And that's exactly what is done in this case. After the 25th, they do a search warrant subsequent on the defendant's vehicle again on September 24th of 2018. And at that time, they use something, and it's called Blue Star, and it's a chemical that they spray inside of his truck. And if there's blood inside, it lights up blue in the dark. So they spray that. And sure enough, they look inside of his truck, and there's parts that are glowing. Evidence that there was blood in his truck. So what do? They cut out the carpet where they see some of that blood. They swab that. They send that off also for DNA testing. So what you're going to hear about the DNA evidence in this case is that they took a lot of swabs and they tested a lot of stuff. But there's a couple things that are extremely important. And one of those is that they checked multiple people to see who could be the father of that child, and it's 99.99%, it's the defendant. So not only did he kill Tanya Wise, he killed his own son that she was 38 weeks pregnant with because he didn't want his wife to find out that he had been with someone else. He cut her throat and bashed her head in, knowing that possibly it was his child, but he did it anyways. Because he had planned it out, and he said, I have to do it, Eric. I have no other choice. You're going to hear some additional evidence that even though that evening he's going to tell law enforcement what he did and where he went, and the cell phone evidence that's going to introduce in this case, the cell phone tower evidence, it's going to show that's not correct. That's not where he was. The evidence is going to put him out at the scene of the crime. It's going to put him near that area where this crime occurred out on Russo Road. So throughout the trial, listen to the evidence, use your common sense. But when you go back and you listen and you watch and you hear what is said on these recordings, and you consider what the facts are, that the fact that this was his child and that he lied about it and that he hid it and that he then planned this murder for multiple days and then he carried it out, at the end of this trial, you're going to find the defendant guilty of both first-degree murder of Tanya Wise and first-degree murder of an unborn child, because that's what the evidence is going to show. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cormier. Does the defense wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, sir.
Please do. Thank you.